What's going on, everybody? It's Stas here. So I want to break down 5 stocks that I'm looking at right now in the stock market, some of which I own, some of which I don't own, and I want to break down a bunch of charts in this video. And later on, I'm going to break down some options for you guys that I'm looking at associated with these stocks, so maybe we can play them with less capital involved, because you guys know if you buy shares, you're going to tie up more capital than, let's say, if you were to buy some call options, right? So sit back, relax, take a sip of your coffee, right? In this case, this is my second coffee of the day, guys. We're on a roll today, and go down below and get yourself 2 free stocks from WeBull. Did I say they're free? Yep, they're free. Link down below. All you have to do is deposit $100, and you get 2 stocks valued up to $1,600. So enough with the talk. Let's get right into the video. As you guys can see, SPY as of now, and the markets in general as of now, are up. SPY's up 0.9%. NASDAQ 100 up 1.7, Dow's up 0.5%, the Russell's down a little bit, volatility's also down, and the metals are at break even. So a pretty interesting day across the board, but overall equities are up for the most part, and SPY as of now is at a big resistance on the hourly chart here, right by the resistance of the wedge. So I'm going to be tuning in heavily to SPY to see what it does here the next couple of hours as we're testing this point, right? Do we break out, fill the gap up to 418, or do we fail here and end up dumping down to 411? We're going to talk more about this in the video later on today, so make sure to subscribe to the channel. That's super important, guys. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't done so already so you don't miss that video that I'm going to be making later on today. So stock number 1 is Netflix, ticker symbol NFLX. This is one that is up 3% today, and right off the bat on the hourly chart, what you guys are noticing is we're breaking out, right? The past couple of weeks, Netflix has been downtrending, as many tech stocks have been, right? But now we're trading above the moving averages. We're seeing a golden cross. The EMA is crossing above the 180 SMA here on this time frame, and now we're about to test levels that we haven't been at in about 2 weeks, right? Netflix 2 weeks ago is at 508. Now we just cracked above 500 again. So I'm going to be looking for in the very short term here to see if Netflix can go 508 and hopefully break out of 508 into the 5 teens again, 510, 515, 520, that general area, and pulling back the layers here a bit, you know, the layer of the onion, if you want to call it that. You guys can see on the 3-year chart, overall, we're uptrending still. Believe it or not, we're still uptrending. And more importantly, on the yearly chart, you guys can see how we held a higher low at 480 pretty much. We double bottomed there. Now we're breaking out. So in my eyes, the uptrend wants to continue here in Netflix. And again, there is some headway at about 510, or rather of resistance at 510. That's going to be difficult between 510 and 515. But if we get out of there, I think Netflix, and granted, the market has to stay healthy. I mean, if the market collapses, Netflix will go down as well. But if the market's healthy, we get a bit of consolidation, a pop back up here next couple of weeks, I think Netflix could end up seeing a decent move, maybe back up, maybe not back up to 570, but towards the mid 500s. I think that's very possible. So I'm watching Netflix extremely closely here. Stock number 2 is Adobe, ticker symbol ADBE. This one is in a very similar scenario. It's still uptrending on the yearly chart, but it's been consolidating a lot in the past couple of months. But just now, today actually, with it being up almost 3%, we're confirming that breakout. And if we zoom in a bit on the 4-hour chart, you guys can see that, especially if I show you the price action from the past month or so. You can see today we broke above the EMA, the 50, and the 180 SMA here on the 4-hour chart. We're above all the moving averages, and it looks like Adobe has a one-way ticket to the 500s right now, 507 to be exact, which has been resistance, 507 to 510 for many months on this stock. We're talking back in September, October, November, December, January, February. So now that we're breaking out, I think Adobe could go to 510. If 510 somehow breaks, Now we're talking maybe back up to 520, 525. So watch out for Adobe, ticker symbol ADBE. I really like how this is moving. And Pinterest and Snapchat, these two have been hit very hard, especially Pinterest, right? Pinterest is down to $60 per share right now. It was $90 a couple months ago. It's down 40%, well in a bear market. And here on the 4-hour chart, you guys can see we broke above the 50 SMA. That's a good sign that there is some bullish momentum here. And let me get out my handy dandy oval tool. You guys can see the move that we can make here on Pinterest could be anywhere from $60 where we are now up to that 180 moving average resistance on the 4-hour chart. That would be right around $70. You know, that is where we've seen resistance in the past. And again, now that we broke the 50 SMA, I think there's some headway up to that next resistance being that $70 level. So I think there's about $10 per share upside in the short term here on Pinterest, and that equates to about 15%. And if we pull back to the 3-year chart, look at where Pinterest is holding and look at the candlestick that's forming here. It's a bullish candlestick. It's green. It's above the 50 moving average here on the 3-year chart. And it looks like, to me at least, on the long time frame chart here that we're looking at, the uptrend for Pinterest is continuing, and this drop was simply a healthy pullback after a meteoric rise from $10 back. You guys have to realize this stock was $10 a little bit less than a year ago. That just blows my mind. This stock was $10 a little bit less than a year ago, and it 10x pretty much. And people are like, why is Pinterest crashing? Well, maybe it got ahead of itself. You guys have to realize, even here, it's still up 6x from where it was a little less than a year ago. And you could make the argument that Pinterest does go lower. And like I said with Netflix, if the markets do go down a bit lower, look, Pinterest, you know, these large cap stocks, they're going to go down a lot too. They're going to go down more as well. And a bunch of stocks, most stocks out there are going to do poorly if the markets were to go down. And the stocks you notice that are disconnected from the markets are more of, how do I put this? There are stocks out there, maybe some small micro cap stocks that are not correlated to the market, which might do well when the markets go down. You know, that could happen. But I could tell you this, Pinterest, Netflix, a lot of these large caps, they're pretty correlated to the market. And when the market goes down, you better believe Pinterest, you know, it's going to go down as well. And that is a risk you must understand here. And Snapchat, look at the wedge here forming on the 4-hour. Snapchat is currently up 3% today on the day so far. And I think if it takes out 57, the moving average as well, the 180 moving average here on the 4-hour, that could be a breakout spot on Snap. So I'm going to put an alert at about 59, maybe $59 on Snapchat to see if it's able to break out of there. We also have AMC doing extraordinarily well right now. Well, at least the past couple of days. Today it's currently pulling back, but I think this is a buying opportunity. In fact, I bought more, well, I didn't buy more AMC. I didn't have AMC. I bought AMC today. I bought a little swing of AMC at about $12.75. Now we're down a bit from that initial buy, but it's okay. I'm going to add more to my AMC position, you know, if $12 is able to hold. And I think the next gap is going to be back up to $15. So I think AMC could end up going back up 20%. I mean, guys, you saw last week, it went up 30% in a day. I could see AMC do that again. Well, maybe not 30% in a day, although it could still do that, but 30% in a couple weeks, yes, I think AMC is that type of stock, and I'm not giving you all financial advice. I'm just giving you all my opinion. You must always do your own research, due diligence when you're dealing with the markets. That is a given, right? And stock number 5 or 6, whatever stock it is here, guys, is Virgin Galactic. They're up 11% today, and their test flight is scheduled for tomorrow. And like I say all the time, Virgin Galactic is not a company that moves in terms of the stock, that is. The stock doesn't move on fundamentals. Well, I mean, I guess you can say it does, but it moves a lot on news events, right? When's the next test flight? When is Richard Branson going to fly? What insider bought more shares or something like that? That is what Virgin Galactic moves on. And yes, sometimes fundamentals, you know, whenever they do this or that, yes, that's good. But in terms of fundamentals, what I mean there is like they're not moving on revenue beat or an EPS beat because they're not making money, guys. In fact, they're losing hundreds of millions of dollars a year. But when we get a big piece of news, that is what moves the stock, and that is why it's up 11%. In fact, pre-market at one point, it was up like 20%. So Virgin Galactic, I'm watching this heavily, not only today, but for the next couple of weeks, especially if it's able to break out of the 180 moving average here and take out, let's say, $25, hence why I have an alert at $25. So let's jump over to my WeBull app and take a look at some options before we do end off this video. Alrighty guys, so here we are in the WeBull app, and like I always say when it comes to call options, put options, for me at least, you guys can do whatever you want, but for me, I don't like picking calls or puts, buying them, that is. We're not talking about selling anything in this video. Well, I might make a video in the future about that. But when I'm looking to buy calls to get leveraged exposure to a stock and not putting as much capital down up front, right, I'm looking a bit further out, right? And that actually does lead me to paying a bit more of a premium for the call options. But the beautiful thing is, if you buy calls that are a year out, 6 months out, you have time on your side, right? So that is why you're paying more in premium. Because if you're buying an option that expires in a week, let's say, for example, yes, you're going to pay less of a premium, and there's a lot more upside potential if the price does what you want it to do in that time period, but there's a lot of risk involved with that, and your chances of losing all of that money you invested, well, the chances are a lot higher. Let's put it that way. So in terms of Pinterest, this is one that I'm very interested in that I don't have shares of right now, but I do want to maybe add some longer term calls, and maybe not 2023 calls. That's a bit far out for me, a little too far out right now, and quite frankly, those are expensive. I mean, actually, they're not that bad. I mean, if we look here, let's say we wanted to do a $70 call for, what day is this? Or rather, what date? January 20th, 2023, decent open interest there. We have implied volatility 65%. Okay, we'd pay about $11.90, so we're talking about almost $1,200 for one contract if you want to buy one call option contract here. So if you want to buy 5, obviously you're looking at about $5,000-$6,000, and you got to ask yourself, look, if you want leveraged exposure, would you rather buy $5,000 worth of shares? Let's say you buy 80 shares of Pinterest right now, or 85, something like that, or would you rather buy 5 call contract or call option contracts that expire in about 2-3 years? I think the better option would be straight up buying calls, especially in this environment where the market's a bit rocky, right? You know, you want to have a little extra cash on the sidelines just in case we get a market crash. And in that case, you'd end up buying stocks at a discounted price. You could end up going in on shares, or maybe going in on longer term calls. So in this case, you're not putting in as much money if you're buying the calls, which gives you that dry powder that you can have, again, like I said, if the market were to crash and you want to actually buy some shares. So I'm looking at Pinterest, maybe the 2020, maybe not 2023, like I said, but probably the 2022s, January 21st, 2022, probably around $70, maybe $75. See, look, the $75 calls, they're about $5.20, and obviously you multiply that by 100, so you're paying about $500 for that contract, which is not that bad. And you guys can see a lot of these are up 20%, 25%, 13% on the day. So I'm definitely looking at those for Pinterest. And I guess if you're more risky, you could consider options, or calls rather, for AMC. You know, if you look at the August calls, they're moving a bit. They're not moving too crazy today, and you could pick these up pretty cheap. I mean, the September calls, if you're looking at, let's say, $15 calls on AMC, you're looking to pay about $300 per contract. If you buy this one, the ones that expire in September at $15 strike. So these are ones that I'm looking at. Netflix, I might consider some calls as well on this one. If we pull up, let's say, I'd probably go 2022 calls on this one, January. So January 21st, or even the March ones. But these, you need a lot more capital to even consider. We're talking about $4,000 if you want to buy one contract that expires in January at a $540 strike. If you want to do a $600 strike, which is more risky, you're looking at $2,000. So these are a couple of contracts, or rather call options, that I'm looking at. And again, this is the WeBull app. If you all are interested in this, you can check out my link down below. It's a great app. I use it for options, right? I don't do long-term investing on this, but I do options and some short-term stuff here and there. Check out that link down below. If you deposit $100, you get 2 stocks valued up to $1,600, and I also get 2 stocks since it is an affiliate link. And we'll wrap it up there. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Make sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel for daily content like this, and feel free to check out my Patreon. That's also linked down below. All my real-time buy and sell alerts are there, whether it's long-term investing, trading, options moves I'm making. Literally everything I do is on Patreon, and you guys get morning update videos, more access to me one-on-one on there. So check that out. It's linked down below, or you guys can go to patreon.com/DaSurFest. I'll see you all there. Thanks for tuning in again. As always, keep crushing the markets, guys. Peace out.